With the upcoming Disney Plus series The Falcon and Winter Soldier set to premiere this fall, the Super Bowl sneak peek trailer has resurfaced an ongoing debate among MCU fans. Whether Falcon was the right choice, or should Steve have chosen Winter Soldier to take the Captain America mantle. The overwhelming favor tends to lean towards Bucky Barnes, over some who are excited about Marvel Studios' plan for Sam Wilson. Personally, I believe the Falcon should be left alone to develop similarly to the awesome character he already is in the comics, while I also think making him the new Captain America in the MCU has merit. So with that being said, let's get into why you clicked on this video. Making his first debut in Captain America issue 117, Samuel Thomas Wilson, aka Snap Wilson, in these streets, started out as a bird trainer brainwashed by the Red Skull using the Cosmic Cube. After a brief altercation with one another, Steve Rogers helped Sam overcome the brainwashing, and in return, he helped the Captain take down the Skull. Turning a new leaf and inheriting the powers granted by the Cube to telepathically communicate with his pet falcon Redwing, he took on the superhero name of the Falcon to fight alongside Captain America, safeguarding the streets of New York, building an unbreakable bond of friendship that persists till this day. Now that you've gotten a brief history of his origin, here are 11 reasons Sam Wilson was given the shield and became
Captain Falcon.
Number 1. The Falcon is not a sidekick. Unlike Bucky, who was actually Steve's sidekick during World War II, Sam is not an apprentice, nor is he a carbon copy like traditional comic book sidekicks in training tend to be. Although Steve Rogers has aided Sam in his martial arts, combat, and tactical training, he operates as an equal and operates in his own manner as a hero. Like Bucky Barnes in his later years as the Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson is a stark contrast to Steve Rogers while maintaining similar interests of being a real American hero, using his abilities to train, excel, assist, and fight the good fight alongside his brother-in-arms, Captain America. Number 2. The Falcon is a true patriot. Like Steve, Sam is a dedicated patriot to his country and is a model for justice and fairness. Whether as a social worker turned superhero in the comics or a two-tour Iraq vet in the MCU, he's always willing to do what's right and what will sit well in his heart, even when the situation doesn't permit it. For instance, here in The Winter Soldier.
Don't look at me. I do what he does, just slower.
Sam is exemplifying a type of patriotism similar to and in a different manner than that of Steve Rogers. Similar because both men begin their lives handicapped, which hindered them from following their dreams. Steve, living through the Great Depression era as a sickly young man, denied the honor of enlisting to serve in the war, while Sam grew up in the early 60s streets of Harlem, New York, hindered by society to rise above his situation due to the color of his skin. This kept both men from being acknowledged as authentic American citizens. Here is where the differences lie. Steve overcame his obstacles by persistence of enlisting for the army, until finally recognized by a German scientist working for the US military. His good heart and mental fortitude afforded him the opportunity to be selected for the Super Soldier program. Being the sole survivor, Steve was finally able to follow his dreams and represent his country on the battlefield. In contrast, Sam grew up in the gritty streets of Harlem, solely taking care of his siblings after losing both his parents at a young age. Inevitably, through being a caretaker, he applied such skill to his affinity with birds and started a successful bird training business, while becoming a recognized model in his community, similar to his late father, who was a preacher. Number 3. The Falcon is a decorated hero in the public eye. Although, it has been shown that prior to meeting Captain America and taking on the alias of the Falcon, Sam started his adult life in the world of crime and drugs on the streets of Harlem as Snap Wilson. It later came to fruition that these were false memories injected into his subconscious by the Red Skull, using the Cosmic Cube as a form of mental manipulation via racism. Regardless of this, Sam has donned the mantle of the Falcon in honor of his newfound powers and friendship with Steve Rogers. We learn later that his powers grew to telepathic manipulation and communication with all forms of avian species, terrestrial and extraterrestrial, using these extraordinary powers to train, combat alongside Captain America and the Winter Soldier specifically, achieving peak human physique and feats in the process. Such feat would include arm wrestling with super soldier serum induced Steve Rogers to a standstill, exhibiting his natural strength, being able to stand toe to toe as equals with one of the deadliest assassins in the world in the Winter Soldier, utilizing the vibranium wings created by the Black Panther to develop a unique aerial and acrobatic style of combat to suit his aviation abilities, surpassing heroes like Iron Man and Archangel. The Falcon on a multitude of occasions has saved heroes and allies from danger as well, battling powerful foes like Blackheart, Nuke, Kingpin, SHIELD agents, a brainwashed Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Crossbones, and consistently fighting vast groups of adversaries with ease. Number 4. The Falcon is an Avenger, unlike the Winter Soldier. Prior to taking on the mantle, the Falcon has been frequently asked to join the Avengers, only to join and refuse due to realizing that he is being used to fill a quota. He's been a member of many different teams such as the Secret Avengers, SHIELD, Defenders, Mighty Avengers, and even Heroes for Hire. Whereas Bucky Barnes was only an Avenger briefly when Iron Man convinced him to take on the mantle of Captain America. Basically, the alias of Winter Soldier was never an Avenger. He is mainly known to be a member of the Thunderbolts. Number 5. Sam is also Steve's best friend. Yes, you heard correctly. One common misconception by the masses of comic and MCU fans, or simply those who aren't familiar with the source material, tend to have is that Bucky is Steve's one and only BFF, quote unquote. As if in life people are not allowed to have more than one good or best friend. If you've ever heard people use such terms as my circle, clique, squad, day ones, like family, and etc. to describe their close friends, you know, those who mean more than the typical you happen to associate with on a daily, then you should understand that Steve Rogers can have more than one really good friend. Spanning from characters like Tony Stark, T'Challa, Natasha Romanoff, Clint Barton, Elijah Bradley, Carol Danvers, James Howlett, Nick Fury, and specifically James Barnes and Sam Wilson. Just like in the comics, Bucky and Sam are physical reflections of Steve's persona, similar to the way that each Robin represents an aspect of Batman's attributes. These two are so important to him that they have become his family, the brothers he's never had and even expressed his love for on many occasions. Whereas Bucky represents Steve's early life as a young man, joining the war in the comics, or early life in the Great Depression era in the MCU, pre-Frozen in Ice. Sam, on the other hand, represents the balance he needed to fill the void of a partner in crime, sharing daring battles, administering justice in the comics, or his adjustment, moving forward in acceptance of the world today, in order to progress through his inevitable future as a veteran living among citizens in the MCU.
Did you write that down first? Or was it off the top of your head?
Number 6. It made sense for the political climate. I mean, isn't it obvious? Given that the Falcon, Captain America's right-hand man, just so happens to be a black superhero, is given the mantle of America's symbol during the climax of racial tensions in the US, due to the inauguration of the nation's quote-unquote first black president. This was the rise of social awareness and justice. People were getting woke, becoming allies, and marginalized communities were making an impact on mainstream media. So what was Marvel to do but join the rising tide and bring more representation to their comics? We got characters like Jane Foster Thor, Miles Morales Spider-Man, Ironheart, Amadeus Cho Hulk, Carol Danvers donning the mantle of Captain and passing Miss Marvel to Kamala Khan, and of course, our main man,
Captain Falcon!
Number 7. Comic accuracy. Most notably, Falcon has been given the shield in order to marry events in the source material during the Marvel Now run, transitioning into all new Marvel, which expanded on the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610. Here we experience an old Steve Rogers as a result of being drained of the super soldier serum which kept him young, finally able to make his own decision to pass on the shield to longtime best friend Sam Wilson, the Falcon. Where in the MCU, Steve travels back into an alternate timeline, lives out his days with the love of his life, only to return to the present after the events of Avengers Endgame as an old man, retiring from the hero life and passes on his shield to one of his most valued friends, Sam Wilson. To be clear, anytime the mantle of Captain America has been adopted by another person, it was never a personal decision made by Steve Rogers, who in the public eye is considered the Captain America, although he was not the first Captain America. Isaiah Bradley. Sam becoming Captain America is the first and only true successor of Captain America Steve Rogers. So put some respect on my guy Sam, aka Snap, aka Falcon America, aka
Captain Falcon.
the Falcon.